Welcome! In this video I'm going to look at using 2D design to transform 2D CAD files into what looks like, well, a form of 3D drawing. And the example I'm going to use here is a CAD file for a ruler that I've made. I'm going to just review that in a second, and what I've been able to do is give it an oblique 3D effect, which you can see down at the bottom here. So this is an example of an oblique drawing, and you can see how the front face of this oven is in an orthographic view, so it's just as you would imagine to see this if you were drawing it flat in front of you, but then the hob top here is projected back at an angle of 45 degrees to the horizontal, and the right side here of the oven is also visible as well, again set back at 45 degrees to the horizontal. And out of interest as well in terms of scaling here, the front face and the horizontal width here of the oven are all to scale, but when you're doing this 45-degree oblique drawing here, this actually is to half scale. So this says 565 millimeters back in terms of the depth of the oven, but the actual distance on this drawing would be half of that, so that would make it 282.5. Am I right there? Fingers crossed I am. Anyway, enough about oblique drawing. Let's have a look. Oh, I don't want to show you that. Let's have a look at this. And I'm wanting to make this a 3D representation of this ruler. So first things first, let's just see what's happening here. Point number one is I have made it so that this ruler is mirrored around the center, so that rather than having 0 to 20 on a normal ruler, this is going 20 down to 0, and this is so that when I am laser cutting this, I laser cut the back face of the ruler, and then when we turn it over, it's the right way around, and we have a really nice glossy top face. Check out my other videos on this particular playlist to see where that comes from. Anyway, I want to put it back to normal, because this is supposed to be like a 3D representation of the ruler as it will finally look. So let's select all of this. In fact, the first thing I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to copy it. Let's take it all. I've got grid lock turned on here, Control C, Control V, and I'm going to bring this down, and maybe I'm going to scroll down here so I can place it at this location and make sure I can still see the design above here. Okay, so let's now finally take this design and let's mirror it around the center. Now, because this is on the grid, I can mirror using this little tool here. That's perfect. If it was off the grid, the center of the ruler wasn't actually, should I say, on the grid, then instead I could use the transformation tool, and I could use the mirror image and selected objects. In fact, I think I'll do that as well. I could select that tool. I'm going to replace what's currently here rather than duplicate it. And now I'm going to draw a line that defines the line of symmetry, or the line of mirroring. Am I saying that correctly? I hope so. So 10 is halfway along the ruler, so I'm going to click above the 10, click below the 10. Oh, and look at that. I'd already mirrored it, hadn't I? Let's put it back to how it was. That's flipping confusing. Okay, it needs to be mirrored now. Here we go. Et voila! And that put it to how I want it, 0 to 20. Okay, I hope that made sense. Let's just keep on going, shall we? Something else I want to do with this as well is make it so that I lose the coloring. The red lines are for engraving, of course, the blue lines are for cutting on our laser cutter here. So I want to make all these basically grey lines, and I'm going to use grey, not black, because these are going to be cut in acrylic, and I want to have a colour that kind of shows that translucent nature of the acrylic. So I'm going to select the whole thing, I'm going to come up to Align Color, and I'm going to make this into this kind of darkish grey. I think that kind of works the best. So now you can see that I've got the same color as the example above. Now I want to make it so I'm going to extrude this into 3D, and I'm going to do it wrong to begin with, and you'll see what I mean right now. I'm going to select the whole of the ruler, and I'm going to go to this 3D effects tool. Now by default it looks like this isometric drawing box here, but I want to go to the second oblique image selection tool. So I'm holding the mouse button down, going to this second option right here, and I need to set my dialog box correctly. So start depth 0, finishing depth 0.2 of a centimeter. Now notice here I'm working in centimeters, not millimeters, so this would be 2 millimeters if you had millimeters as the unit, and I'm choosing this value because the acrylic we cut the rulers out of have a thickness of 2 millimeters. I'm also going to have right hand view turned on, which I think looks better. It makes the extrusion come out to the right, whereas if I turn that off, the extrusion will come out to the left, but I prefer it with the right view. The join points along arc and curve I'm set to 45 degrees, and that means that I get here this little line. This line defines the ending of the straight edge of the ruler. This line defines the beginning of this straight edge down the side, and then this 45-degree point, that's what I'm defining here. And that gives me that 45-degree point kind of branching across and closing this edge. And I'm not going to retain the original. So let's apply this and see what happens. Okay, and it basically does the extrusion effect to everything, which is not how we want our ruler to look, because actually all of these millimeter and centimeter markings and the actual numbers here, they are all just engraved on the back of the ruler. Notice as well that it doesn't do the effect on any of our bitmaps that I've imported or pasted into the software to be laser engraved. It only affects vectors and text within the image. So that's not what we want. So straight away I'm going to go to undo last and go back to my original graphic. So how am I going to fix this? Well, I only actually want to extrude just this, the edge of the ruler. I don't want to extrude into this oblique format any of the millimeter markings, centimeter markings, numbers. So what I want to do is just be able to select the outside of the ruler. Now in my case, I've actually got the outside as a complete path, which makes my life super easy. But if when you click on the outside you find that excuse me, you find that your outline here is actually broken down into lots of little lines because maybe you've used a different technique to draw your ruler, then you need to define one continuous outside profile. So to do this, I'm going to use the contour tool. I'm going to click on the contour tool here. I want to have a 0 contour spacing because I want to do a line that literally follows the external profile of the ruler. I'm going to have it as a graphical path, and I'm going to make sure here that my color again is going to be this gray here, should I say, this darker gray. Okay, and now I'm going to click on the outside. Now actually, when I did that, nothing changed. So actually I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it, same setting, 0 contour spacing, 1 contour, graphical path. I'm going to do it in blue, just so you can see it standing out. So if I click now, and I'm clicking here on the external edge. Lots of people click on the internal edge. It's the external edge I'm clicking on. And again, you see that's now giving me that outline. Okay, so that's now what I want to extrude into 3D. And I think what I'll do here as well is keep it in blue while it extrudes, and then I'll take it back into gray. But normally I would do this in gray. Okay, so now with this blue outline selected, I'm going to go back to my oblique 3D effect. Again, same settings as I had before. Click on OK, and there's my 3D effect. Now I don't want it in blue, so can I now select this and change the color manually afterwards to that dark gray? And there we are. That is my 3D effects ruler finished. I have the effect that the engraving is on the back face of the ruler, but the ruler is extending out of the page with that 2mm thickness. It's a clear transparent ruler, so I can see the images and the numbers and the centimeter and millimeter markings. And I've got a slightly grey finish there, so it has this effect of being a transparent acrylic. I got the words out eventually. So that's the end of this tutorial. Good luck making your own 3D effects on your ruler.